Have you ever wondered why once beloved restaurants became terrible? From pioneering fast food spots like Burger Chef with its unique build-your-own burger station, to vibrant Tex-Mex chains like Chi-Chi's, known for its legendary nachos and chimichangas, each had its own story of dazzling success and bitter failure. Today, let's explore 20 of the worst American restaurants from the 1970s that gradually faded into history. Chi-Chi's. You enter a restaurant, order crispy nachos loaded with melted cheese, jalapeno peppers, and every topping imaginable. That's the unforgettable feeling when stepping into Chi-Chi's restaurant. Chi-Chi's was once a prominent name among Tex-Mex food lovers in America, introducing a rich and unique flavor to the masses. Founded in Minneapolis, this restaurant quickly became a familiar spot with its lively atmosphere, vibrant decor, and festive ambiance that anyone would want to experience. By the late 1970s, Chi-Chi's had expanded impressively, reaching over 200 locations nationwide, becoming a true culinary phenomenon. Their signature dishes, such as crispy nacho plates covered with cheese and spicy jalapeno peppers, along with the legendary chimichangas, delighted countless diners and became icons of this restaurant chain. It was a place where families frequently visited every Friday night, or friends gathered for evenings filled with laughter and fragrant margaritas. Initially, Chi-Chi's emerged as a huge hit. However, its decline began as culinary tastes changed. Their dishes, though initially considered unique, gradually came to be seen as Americanized Tex-Mex cuisine, overly focused on fried foods and lacking freshness. As trends shifted towards fresher, healthier ingredients and dishes with stronger regional identities, Chi-Chi's was unable to adapt in time. The final fatal blow came to Chi-Chi's in 2003, when a hepatitis A outbreak occurred at one of their restaurants, caused by contaminated green onions. This incident infected over 600 people and claimed the lives of 4, becoming a food safety disaster. Subsequent lawsuits made the restaurant's reputation irrecoverable. As a result, Chi-Chi's gradually disappeared completely from the American market, leaving behind sad memories of a once-loved restaurant chain. Wags. Wags was an ambitious initiative by Walgreens, a major name in the pharmaceutical industry, aiming to expand into the casual dining market in the late 1970s. The brand aimed to create a comfortable, family-friendly atmosphere where people could enjoy a dine-in meal with attentive service. Wags' menu focused on familiar traditional American dishes, including delicious burgers, appealing steaks, and a variety of sandwiches. They were particularly famous for their roast beef sandwiches and were one of the few restaurant chains to serve breakfast all day, a big plus for those who liked a late breakfast or wanted to enjoy pancakes in the evening. Despite a promising start, Wags could not keep up with the rapid development of emerging casual dining chains like TGI Fridays and Chili's. These competitors offered a more modern style, diverse menus, and vibrant atmospheres, attracting a large number of young customers and families. Wags, with its more traditional style, gradually became outdated in the eyes of consumers. Walgreens realized that maintaining this restaurant chain was no longer effective and began phasing out the Wags brand in the late 1980s. By 1991, Wags had ceased operations entirely, ending a chapter in the history of Walgreens and the American casual dining industry. Burger Queen. Do you still remember the feeling of having desserts like soft-serve ice cream dipped in chocolate or classic milkshakes, or devouring a signature Whopper burger from the Burger Queen restaurant chain? If so, you must be a food enthusiast from the last century. Founded in 1956 in Louisville, Kentucky, Burger Queen was born with the ambition to become a strong rival to Burger King in the southern United States. By the 1970s, this restaurant chain had built a solid reputation, not only for its delicious burgers, but also for its famous fish sandwiches and crispy fried chicken. This turned them into the Usain Bolt of the fast food industry. Even their mascot, Queenie Bee, became a friendly face known to millions. However, Burger Queen gradually struggled to maintain relevance and innovation to compete in the increasingly fierce fast food market. In 1981, to refresh its image and adapt to the market, the chain decided to rename itself Druthers. Although the renaming was an effort to improve, many diners felt that the quality of food and service at Druthers showed signs of decline, causing them to lose the affection of old customers. Ultimately, most Druthers locations were sold or converted into Dairy Queen restaurants by the late 1980s, marking the complete disappearance of the Burger Queen brand from the American culinary map. Burger Chef, of the fast food industry in America, founded in 1954. In the 1970s, this restaurant chain developed strongly and became one of the largest restaurant chains in the United States, with over 1,200 locations, second only to McDonald's in scale. Burger Chef was famous for its revolutionary innovations. They were the first to introduce flame-broiled burgers, bringing an unforgettable signature flavor. Notably, their unique Works Bar allowed customers to customize their dishes with their favorite toppings, creating a personalized experience. Additionally, Burger Chef was the first chain to offer combo meals and played an important role in popularizing the salad bar concept, ideas that have now become industry standards in fast food. Everything began to turn negative after General Foods acquired Burger Chef in 1968. The change in ownership led to inconsistent food quality across locations and confusing marketing campaigns, weakening the brand's image. As competition in the fast food industry became increasingly intense with the rise of McDonald's and Burger King, Burger Chef gradually lost its advantage. Finally, in 1982, Burger Chef was sold to Hardee's. Subsequently, all Burger Chef locations were gradually converted or closed, and by 1996, the brand had completely disappeared from the market, leaving regret for those who once loved its creativity and signature flavor. Victoria Station. Founded by 3 Harvard alumni, Victoria Station was one of the most unique and creative culinary ideas to emerge in the early 1970s. This restaurant drew inspiration from the classic charm of old train stations, offering a completely distinct dining space. What was even more special was that many Victoria Station locations were built from actual converted train cars, creating an authentic and nostalgic experience for diners. Victoria Station's menu focused on classic American dishes like steaks and prime rib, dishes that were always popular and suited the cozy atmosphere of the restaurant. This restaurant chain boomed in the mid-1970s, rapidly expanding to over 100 locations not only in the U.S., but also internationally, affirming the success of a unique business model. However, Victoria Station then began to face many problems, especially rising operating costs, which affected profitability. They also could not maintain a consistent quality of service and food across all branches. Additionally, this chain did not update its menu or decor to keep up with emerging competitors, who were constantly innovating. Ultimately, Victoria Station filed for bankruptcy in 1986, and most locations closed by the end of the decade. By the early 1990s, Victoria Station had completely disappeared from the culinary map, leaving a void in memories of unique train car dining experiences. Arthur Treacher's Fish and Chips. Arthur Treacher's Fish and Chips was a restaurant chain with a unique theme, founded in 1969 with a clear mission to bring crispy fried fish, a signature British dish, to American diners. In a fast food market dominated by burgers, Arthur Treacher's emergence offered a fresh and appealing seafood option. This chain boomed across the United States, reaching over 800 locations by the mid-1970s, demonstrating enthusiastic public reception. Their signature dish was crispy battered Atlantic cod, served with thick-cut fries and hush puppies, fragrant fried cornmeal balls, creating a complete and delicious meal. However, Arthur Treacher's decline occurred rapidly as American consumers became increasingly health-conscious, and fried foods gradually lost favor. This was a common problem faced by many fast food chains during this period. Additionally, the restaurant chain also faced other issues such as unstable raw material supply, fierce competition from emerging rivals, outdated interiors that were not improved, and ineffective marketing campaigns that failed to attract new generations of customers. All these factors contributed to the rapid collapse of Arthur Treacher's fish and chips, causing this restaurant chain to gradually disappear from the market. What do you think about this decline? Please leave a comment below, and don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel to watch the content that follows. Bennigan's. When it comes to casual dining, Bennigan's cannot be unmentioned. It was one of the pioneering restaurant chains that shaped this segment in the United States. Founded in 1976 by Norman Brinker, a highly influential figure in the industry. With its lively atmosphere, affordable prices, and signature drinks, Bennigan's quickly became a familiar destination for middle-class families and young people. This place was a perfect combination of fun space, generous portions, and, according to many, the best fried chicken, making Bennigan's considered by many to be a better choice compared to rivals like Chili's, TGI Fridays, Applebee's, or Red Robin. Bennigan's was not just a place to eat, but also a spot for gathering, relaxing after work, or holding small parties. Those who visited Bennigan's in the 70s and 80s often reminisced about fun evenings filled with laughter and wonderful food flavors. Today, about 15 Bennigan's branches still operate in the U.S., but most of them no longer retain the spirit and characteristic features that made the brand famous during those glorious years. Lum's. Once just a small hot dog stand on Miami Beach, Florida, Lum's had a very humble beginning in the early 1950s. However, from a small selling point, Lum's quickly developed into a national restaurant chain with a unique and distinct style in the 1970s. The most notable point, and what made Lum's famous, was that they served beer with meals, a rather new concept for a fast food chain at that time. Even more special, their legendary hot dogs were steamed in beer-battered buns, creating a distinctive and unforgettable flavor. The atmosphere inside Lum's was also very unique, evoking a cozy and intimate feeling more like a local pub than a traditional fast food restaurant, with small bars and warm wooden interiors. However, Lum's novelty gradually faded as they could not continue to develop and innovate in the face of increasing competition in the 1980s. Consumer tastes changed, and other competitors brought fresher ideas, causing Lum's to lose its initial advantage. Ultimately, this restaurant chain gradually disappeared, leaving in many people's memories evenings enjoying beer, hot dogs, and the unique bar atmosphere. It is a part of American culinary history, showing that even unique ideas need to constantly adapt to survive. The Brown Derby. The Brown Derby was not just a restaurant, it was an icon, a legend of Hollywood history. Founded in 1929, this restaurant quickly became the focal point for high society and movie stars. The most famous location of the Brown Derby was shaped exactly like a giant derby hat, a unique and easily recognizable design, turning it into a regular meeting spot for Hollywood's most prominent figures. By the 1970s, the Brown Derby had expanded to many other locations, including a special branch inside Walt Disney World bringing the luxury and history of Hollywood to a wider public. The Brown Derby's menu was incredibly elegant, with standout dishes like the legendary Cobb salad, created by the restaurant owner Bob Cobb himself, along with fragrant roast prime rib and traditional fried chicken. The interior of the restaurant was also very special, with walls adorned with caricatures of famous guests, creating an artistic and memorable atmosphere. This was a place where one could enjoy a delicious meal while gazing at familiar faces from the screen. However, even an icon like the Brown Derby could not escape the changes in business. The restaurant faced financial difficulties in the late 20th century and eventually filed for bankruptcy and gradually disappeared from the American culinary scene, leaving regret for a golden era of Hollywood. Stuckey's. Pecan log rolls, famous pecan pralines and other nut candies, are what made Stuckey's a highlight, an icon of American road trip travel. Beginning humbly as a roadside pecan stand in Georgia in the 1930s, by the 1970s, Stuckey's had evolved into a nationwide family travel icon with over 350 locations. It was a familiar stop for long road trips where people could fill up gas, grab a snack, and buy souvenirs, offering a cozy and family-friendly atmosphere. Although the main dishes were not 5-star, they were always reliable and familiar enough to satisfy tired travelers. However, Stuckey's began to struggle as larger travel centers and national restaurant chains started to dominate the highways. These competitors had larger scales, more modern facilities, and better price competitiveness. Stuckey's could not adapt quickly enough to the changing travel habits and dining preferences of Americans, who increasingly favored the convenience and variety of large chains. Gradually, Stuckey's disappeared from the map, leaving in the memories of many generations nostalgic stops on long journeys. Wimpy's. Wimpy's, founded in Chicago in the 1930s, developed strongly from the 1950s to the 1970s, becoming a quite familiar name in the fast food industry. What made Wimpy's different was their attempt to elevate the fast food experience by serving meals on real plates with silverware, instead of just using disposable plasticware like many competitors. This restaurant chain had a loyal customer base, especially fond of their quarter-pounder style burgers and bender in a bun, a unique sausage sandwich. This was one of the few places where you could sit down and enjoy a burger more elegantly. However, Wimpy's biggest problem was the consistency of quality and experience across locations. While some branches could be very good, others failed to maintain that standard, leading to customer disappointment. Additionally, Wimpy's also could not keep up with the rapid development of other fast food chains, which were constantly innovating and expanding their scale. Ultimately, most Wimpy's branches in the U.S. closed by the late 1970s, leaving the brand existing only in some other countries. In the U.S., Wimpy's is merely a memory of a fast food era that tried to be different. Do you have any memories of this fast food chain? Please comment below. Sandy's. Next is Sandy's or Sandy's, a fast food chain launched in 1958, immediately competing directly with McDonald's. Sandy's initial highlight was its unique Scottish heritage theme with a bagpiper mascot and appealing slogans, creating a friendly and memorable image. Thanks to this, Sandy's rapidly expanded in many states in the 1960s. This restaurant chain was famous for its hamburgers priced at just 20 cents, a very affordable price at the time, and its thick, delicious milkshakes. However, Sandy's faced fierce competition from two giants, McDonald's and Burger King, in the 1970s. In an effort to survive, Sandy's lost its original identity as it attempted to modernize and abandon its Scottish theme, making them fade in the eyes of customers. Finally, in 1973, Sandy's was acquired by Hardee's, one of its other competitors. By 1979, all remaining Sandy's locations had been completely rebranded, marking the disappearance of this brand from the American fast food market. Beefsteak Charlie's. Beefsteak Charlie's was a legendary restaurant chain dating back to the early 1900s, but it truly became an icon of New York City in the 1970s. Their mission was incredibly simple and appealing: to serve affordable steak dinners. But what made Beefsteak Charlie's stand out was its astonishing abundance. Customers could enjoy all-you-can-eat steak, endless shrimp cocktails, a salad bar overflowing with fresh dishes, and especially unlimited beer and wine. It was a generous and lavish dining experience at an affordable price, turning every meal into a celebration. By the late 1970s, Beefsteak Charlie's had developed into a full-fledged restaurant chain, expanding rapidly across the East Coast. However, this generosity was also a double-edged sword. Rising operating costs and massive amounts of free food eroded the chain's profits. By the late 1980s, quality control began to decline, causing regular customers to no longer feel satisfied as before and gradually stop visiting. Ultimately, Beefsteak Charlie's could not sustain its business model and gradually disappeared from the market. Red Barn. Opened in the 1960s and developing steadily throughout the 1970s, Red Barn was a restaurant chain that aimed to reinvent the fast food model. This chain stood out thanks to its distinctive barn-shaped buildings, a unique and recognizable design, along with creatively named dishes like Big Barney Burger and Chicken Hungry Sandwich. Once having over 300 locations in the U.S., Red Barn even experimented with a barn buffet model, a precursor to modern salad bars, showing innovation in service. Despite bright spots like flame-broiled burgers, crispy chicken sandwiches, and fresh salads, Red Barn struggled with an unclear brand identity and inconsistent food quality across locations, making it difficult for customers to find consistency. This affected customer trust and return visits. Most Red Barn locations closed or converted into other restaurants by the early 1980s, marking the end of a restaurant chain known more for its appearance than its food quality. Sambo's. The most controversial restaurant chain on this list is Sambo's. Founded in 1957, the restaurant quickly became famous for its affordable family breakfasts, especially its soft pancakes, becoming a favorite choice for many families. The name Sambo's came from the names of its two founders, Sam Battistone and Newell Bonnet, but it also coincidentally evoked the controversial children's book, The Story of Little Black Sambo, a racially sensitive issue. Sambo's achieved great success in the 1960s and 1970s, expanding to over 1,100 locations nationwide, showing their widespread popularity. However, public backlash regarding the name and imagery, perceived as racially discriminatory, intensified in the late 1970s. This led to protests and boycotts, putting significant pressure on the brand. In addition, Sambo's faced severe financial pressure due to overly rapid expansion without cost control. Ultimately, this restaurant chain had to file for bankruptcy in 1982, and most locations closed or were sold off. Shoney's Big Boy. Shoney's Big Boy was born in the late 1940s and quickly became a familiar part of American family dining habits. This restaurant chain combined the adorable Big Boy mascot with towering double-decker burgers and a cozy, family-friendly atmosphere. Therefore, it was an ideal choice for special occasions or simply a lazy Sunday morning when everyone wanted to enjoy a delicious and relaxing meal. This restaurant chain stood out with its signature Big Boy burger, a representative of traditional fast food with a juicy double-decker patty topped with lettuce, tomatoes, and special sauce. More specifically, they served breakfast all day, including golden, crispy hash browns and soft pancakes, dishes always loved even by the pickiest eaters. Today, although Bob's Big Boy still exists in California, many people feel it is no longer the same as it used to be, no longer retaining the distinctive features and cozy feeling of the old Shoney's Big Boy. Roy Rogers. Founded in the late 1960s, Roy Rogers was named after the beloved cowboy actor and singer, quickly becoming a familiar destination for families. This restaurant chain rapidly expanded to over 600 locations in the 1970s, combining the excitement of the Wild West with fast, convenient cuisine. Roy Rogers stood out with its delicious roast beef sandwiches and especially the Fixin's Bar, a self-service counter that allowed customers to customize toppings to their liking, creating a personalized experience for each meal. However, Roy Rogers then began to struggle and fell from the peak of the culinary industry into the abyss. Fierce competition from larger fast food chains and changes in consumer tastes heavily affected this chain. Gino's Hamburgers locations were also converted into Roy Rogers after Marriott acquired them, showing an effort to consolidate the brand, but it was not enough to salvage the situation. Ultimately, Roy Rogers gradually disappeared from many areas, leaving regret for those who once loved its Wild West flavor. Minnie Pearl's Fried Chicken. Minnie Pearl's Fried Chicken launched in 1966, taking its name and inspiration from the famous country comedian Minnie Pearl, with the goal of directly competing with KFC. This restaurant chain expanded at a dizzying pace, reaching over 300 locations in the South and Midwest in just a few years, showing a promising start. The idea of leveraging a celebrity's fame and tapping into the booming fried chicken market seemed to promise great success. However, the overly rapid growth of Minnie Pearl's Fried Chicken came with inconsistent food quality and poor service. Customers frequently complained about substandard fried chicken portions, sometimes too dry or too bland. Excessive franchising led to financial instability and poor management, causing many internal problems. Worse, the restaurant chain was sued for financial fraud in 1971, a fatal blow to its reputation and public trust. Most Minnie Pearl's Fried Chicken locations disappeared by the mid-1970s, becoming a classic example of a brand that boomed quickly, but also faded quickly due to a lack of solid foundation and weak management. York Steakhouse, a forgotten gem of mall cuisine, a unique cafeteria-style restaurant. York Steakhouse. Founded by General Mills, this chain opened hundreds of branches inside shopping malls across the U.S. in the 1970s. This restaurant quickly became famous for its tender steaks, fragrant baked potatoes, and hot buttered rolls, providing value and delicious meals to diners. This was an ideal choice for shoppers who wanted a quality meal without being too elaborate or expensive. Although popular at the time, York Steakhouse could not keep up with the rapidly changing culinary trends of the market. While other restaurants gradually transformed with more diverse and modern dining options, this chain maintained its traditional style. Ultimately, most York Steakhouse locations quietly closed, disappearing from shopping malls. Gino's Hamburgers. Gino's Hamburgers was a restaurant chain founded in 1957 by Gino Marchetti, an NFL legend, who brought his name into the culinary field. This chain quickly gained a loyal customer base thanks to its hearty burgers, especially the Gino Giant, a formidable competitor to McDonald's Big Mac. Gino's Hamburgers also stood out as one of the first chains to partner with KFC, allowing customers to enjoy both burgers and fried chicken at the same location, a superior convenience at the time. Gino's restaurants became popular gathering spots for fans and families, especially in the Mid-Atlantic region, where Gino Marchetti was much loved. However, Gino's Hamburgers faced fierce competition in the late 1970s. this chain expanded too quickly, leading to quality control issues and a decline in reputation in the eyes of customers. When quality was no longer guaranteed, customers gradually turned away. Ultimately, in 1982, Marriott Corporation acquired Gino's, and most locations were converted into Roy Rogers restaurants. Just like that, a rising star suddenly disappeared from the American fast food map. Wetson's. Founded in 1959 and operating primarily in the New York area, Wetson's built a stable customer base in the 1960s and early 1970s, making its mark by offering affordable meals with hearty portions. The most prominent dish of this restaurant was the Big W Burger. Additionally, Wetson's was known for its char-broiled burgers, crispy fries, and retro-style car hop service, providing a fun and nostalgic dining experience. At its peak, Wetson's had as many as 70 branches in the New York metropolitan area. However, after merging with Nathan's Famous in the mid-1970s, the Wetson's brand quietly disappeared from the market. Many factors contributed to this decline. First was the lack of strict quality control, leading to inconsistent food quality. Second was weak strategic adaptability, unable to change to keep up with market trends, which was also a challenging problem. Additionally, high operating costs and failure to reinvest in the brand caused Wetson's to lose its competitive advantage. All of these factors led to the disappearance of this restaurant chain by the late 1970s. Do you still remember any favorite dishes from these places, or family memories, long road trips, or late-night stops associated with them? Please share your stories in the comments below so we can preserve these beautiful memories together. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with friends so you don't miss our next exciting journeys down memory lane.